From the beautiful city of Los Angeles, California, we bring you the Gimme 3 podcast. Hello and welcome, cinephiles, cinema lovers, movie appreciators, friends and family, to the Gimme 3 podcast, a series for cinephiles. The show where we pick 3 films based off of one theme, and a happy, belated Mother's Day to all the mamas out there. I'm Nicholas Ibarra. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Bella F. Stratus. Bella, how are you doing today?
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm doing well. I'm super pumped for this episode today. A lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, a lot of heavy content. So buckle up, everyone.
Yes. So it's yesterday was Mother's Day, and in honor of Mother's Day, I wanted to start our show by asking you, Bella. I'm sure there are dozens, but name us, give the audience a little peek behind the curtain of growing up with Bella F. Stratus. Name one movie that you watched frequently, over and over again, with your mama growing up.
Yeah, this was kind of hard because I feel like okay, so I'm gonna give 2 answers if that's okay, because
it's called Gimme 3, not Gimme 2. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, yeah.
No. Yeah, 2 is totally great.
Short answer would be pretty much every single Disney movie, specifically like Snow White. That was our shit. We would run that back a lot. But the first thing that came to my mind when I was just thinking about like watching movies with my mom was the unforgettable experience of watching E.T. with her for the very first time. And I think I was like 5 or 6 years old, and we watched it in our like super dark basement. It was kind of like a movie room, basically. And I just remember we were both like crying our eyes out, like bawling hysterically, just holding each other for the scene where like E.T. gets sick and Elliot's just screaming, he needs me. And I remember my dad came home from work and he like came downstairs and was just like, what the hell is going on here? So we were both just like sobbing. He was like, what's going on? What's wrong?
Are you guys watching Rocky down here or something? I'll cry with you guys.
Exactly. It's like, it's goddamn E.T. It's boring. But yeah, and like my mom and I love the theme song so much. We like hum it together all the time, and like it makes like our eyes water every time we hear it. We're just like, oh, it's so good. So yeah, that was one of our favorite like classics.
That's a great choice. It's such a it's got everything. And
it's a family movie through and
it's
through.
A family movie. My pick also has everything, but it's not I wouldn't call it a bona fide classic like E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I like you, we watched so many movies over and over and over again growing up, but one that came to mind quick was The Mummy, 1999. The Mummy.
Nice.
We just we had it on VHS when it came out. It was just like, oh, fucking A, this movie is damn good. And it's just got like everything. It's got comedy, it's got action, excitement, it's got these punchy one-liners. I think my mom had a thing for Billy Zane, definitely, and maybe Brendan Fraser also. And I definitely had a crush on Rachel Weisz. So
yes.
So yeah, we wore out that VHS tape because I think it was on rotation like every weekend for like a few years straight when that movie came out.
That's so awesome. I've been meaning to revisit The Mummy because the first time I watched it, I was like, what is this shit? This is The Mummy? Like, this is what everyone's talking about. And I think I didn't really understand what it was like trying to be or do. Like I thought it was, when I first watched it, I was really young. So I thought it was supposed to be like a horror movie. Right. And I was just like, this isn't scary. And I haven't revisited it since, but I think I saw recently it had like a big anniversary. So I'm like, okay, that's a sign. This is a sign.
Well, this is
watch The Mummy.
Now that you've said it, out loud. We are in
Mm.
2024, so this was, I'm no math whiz, but I think this is the 25th anniversary of that film.
Oh my
25
God,
years
yeah.
ago, The Mummy was released. Incredible.
I can't believe that, like, yeah, I'm no math whiz myself either, but I just can't believe that all these 2004 movies are that old now. It's like
Mm-hmm.
blowing my mind.
Yeah. Well, happy birthday, or not happy birthday, Jesus Christ. Happy, happy Mother's Day to my mom, Lisa Ibarra. Love you, Mom. And Bella, do you want to give a shout out to your
Yes.
mom?
Yeah, I want to shout out my mom, Kristen of Stratus. Love you so much. Happy belated Mother's Day. Excited to dedicate this episode to you, even if the mothers in this are a little bit scary sometimes.
Yeah, well, when we were kind of building our calendar for the month, we were like, yeah, let's celebrate Mother's Day. Let's do an episode about great mother characters. And I think you
Yeah.
asked me, do they have to be good mothers? And I said, no, not necessarily. And then as soon as I said that, both of us went to dark places.
We sure did. I was going through our like lineup. I was actually on the phone with my mom today and I was telling her about it and she was just like, "Oh my God." Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So this is an episode about mamas.
Mhm.
And if you're looking for a heartwarming episode about heartwarming films, about wonderful mother-child relationships, you may not have come to the right place. I'm sorry.
It's
But
true.
if you want to hear about some great films and some
Yes.
great film characters and some outstanding female performances, you have
Yes.
definitely come to the right place.
Absolutely.
So here we go. Give me 3 great mother characters.
So I'm going to start us off with Lenny Abrahamson's 2015 drama Room, which was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars that year. And Brie Larson actually won Best Actress for her leading role as Joy Newsome. So, which I thought was, I didn't remember that. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. Especially rewatching it. It was great to see that. I had watched this film like right when it came out. So I was like 16 years old. And that was a lot for me at that age. And
Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
just remember being like really disturbed, but also very moved. So I was very excited to revisit this film all these years later. And oh my God, it did not disappoint. So to give you guys all some just like a little background on the film opens on Joy and her 5-year-old son, Jack, played by a truly adorable little Jacob Tremblay. Oh my God, I love him. He's so cute. And we learned that Joy was abducted as a teenager by a man who she refers to as Old Nick. And she's been held captive in a tiny shed where she actually gave birth to her son, Jack, ever since. Joy has protected Jack by creating this entire world for him within this tiny room. He has no knowledge that there's anything else behind their 4 walls. But all of that changes when she decides that he's old enough to learn about the reality of their situation. And so they devise an escape plan for him to essentially save his mother and get to experience the real world for himself. So I had to choose this movie because it's one of my favorite films of all time. And I think it's a perfect film for our theme this episode. It's another depiction of motherhood where the mom is facing just unimaginable and horrific circumstances, and yet she just does everything in her power to protect her child. Nick, I'm excited to hear what you think of this. Had you seen Room before?
I actually had not seen it.
Oh, wow.
Because when it came out, I knew what it was about, and a few of my friends told me about it and told me about a couple of the scenes, and I was just like, fuck, I don't know if I want to subject myself to that,
totally.
to its content and subject
very
matter.
Valid as well. This definitely is a very heavy film.
But I'm glad I watched it now because it is so strong, and especially in the context of this episode, as you mentioned, what a harrowing story of a mother,
Yeah.
and Brie Larson is just absolutely riveting in this film.
Hmm.
And what's the young actor's name?
Jacob Tremblay.
Really impressed by his performance in this film
It's
as well.
incredible.
And like the first half of the film takes place in this very small room, and I
Hmm.
was also impressed with the filmmakers and how they made that room visually interesting and gripping, and always it never got boring in there. Like, obviously you want to get the fuck out of there as an audience
Right.
member,
Right.
but like from a visual standpoint and creatively, they did a lot of work, a lot of great filmmaking techniques to make that place always feel, strange and
Hmm.
different, and the way they shot it was really, really impressive.
Because like it's so interesting the way they do it, because it almost one thing I want to mention is like this movie is kind of through the eyes of Jack, her son, more so than Joy.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think it does a really good job of like balancing their two different stories and experiences. But that's where it, like you said with Room, it's so interesting the way they shot it, because um they give you like two sides to it. You see the way that Joy experiences it and like the tininess of it, and like the horror of it, and it's very small, but then you also kind of get to see the way Jack sees it, being the
Hmm.
only thing he's ever known, and they make it almost look big from his point of view, which is
Yeah.
wild to
Right.
achieve that.
Right. Yeah. Good lens use. We're going to be talking about lens use a lot in this episode.
Mm.
But yeah, I hadn't thought about it from that perspective while I was watching it. But you're absolutely right. That is dope.
Yeah, and like, oh man, this movie just blows me away because it deals with so much, and it has like such an intense and really very unique kind of just baseline, like base plot line. But then it goes and does so much more, and it does it without going too over the top, which I think could be kind of hard to do with this type of movie. And what I mean by that is I feel like it leaves me feeling so completely satisfied, but also like renewed and hopeful. And
Hmm.
so, like, while it's dealing with some very disturbing and traumatic subject matter, I would say that it's also a very uplifting and like beautiful film about life and love and discovery. And obviously, a lot of that lends itself to telling the story through the eyes of Jack, who's never been outside in his entire life. And we're getting to see and feel like this insane experience through him. And yeah, Jacob Tremblay is just amazing in this. I like forgot that he was acting halfway through. Like watching him, I'm like, I truly believe that this kid has never seen a telephone or Legos or even like stairs before. It's incredible.
Yeah, the way they kind of the script depicts his life from his perspective of like not being outside of these four walls, and that being
Hmm.
his entire world. It's just fascinating,
It is.
and tragic that a kid would have to live their life like that for the first 5 years of
Yeah,
their
it's a long
life.
time.
Hmm. And
It's a
then and
really long
then
time.
and then seeing them outside of that world is just like, whew. It's just
Yeah,
like
I
it's
don't even
it's
have words for it.
yeah, it's hard to fathom, but the filmmakers do a good job of like making the world outside feel very big. Again, talking about lenses, it's like
Hmm.
a lot of wide lenses and a lot of like vast open space.
Hmm.
Yeah, strong, strong,
Totally.
strong piece.
Another thing I love about this movie is just that makes I think is so makes it so great for our theme is just like the relationship between Joy and Jack.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like they're so adorable and but also like heartbreaking at the same time, having gone through so much trauma, but also like saving each other at the same time, being each other's source of strength and courage through it all. And I really, really love that aspect of this movie. And another thing I love is like, even though this film is narrated by Jack and like a lot of it is perceived through his own eyes, it doesn't take anything away from Joy's experience. Like, and I love how there's a moment where they highlight like one of the, I think it's her mom is like telling her, like, Jack is going to be okay because, and even the doctor's like, he's going to be okay because he's a kid, like, he's still plastic. But it's Joy that is really going to struggle, and who will really need like all the support she can get to overcome her trauma and like adjust to this new life, being an entirely different person. I mean, we get to see her go back to her high school room, which I just can't even imagine the emotions that would like pass over a person.
Jack, can you say something? Jack! He needs to play with something real. I'm worried about him being on the phone.
He's doing fine.
Well, I don't give him my phone, so I'd appreciate it if you didn't give him yours.
Okay, well.
Great. I just want him to connect with something.
Joy, he's really doing fine.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm supposed to be happy.
You just need to rest, okay?
No, I don't. I don't need to rest.
That's what the doctor
That is not what the doctor said. You don't know what he said because it was a confidential conversation and you don't know what he said.
All right. I feel like you're impossible to talk to right now.
Well, sorry.
Well, no, you're not sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sorry. You have no idea what's going on in my head.
Yeah, well, try me. I have asked you.
And then what? Then every time you look at me, that's all that you see?
When I look at you, Joy, I will see my daughter.
You don't need me. You've been doing just fine without me.
Oh. How can you say that? Huh? Do you think that you were the only one whose life was destroyed?
Actually, that's exactly what I think.
Yeah, how would you feel if somebody took Jack away from you?
Oh, shut up!
Go easy. Look at him! You should be thinking about him!
Oh, don't you tell me how to look after my son. I'm sorry that I'm not nice anymore. You know what, maybe? If your voice saying be nice hadn't been in my head, then maybe I wouldn't have helped the guy with the fucking sick dog!
Because, you know, her world got smaller and Jack's world got a whole lot bigger.
Right.
To say the least. And so while they're all very worried about Jack, he didn't have anything taken away from him. Like he even loved Room.
Yeah, he wants to go back.
Yeah, and that's another one of my favorite scenes is when they go back to Room and he's like, did Room shrink?
Right, yeah.
And I think that's even just a relatable experience in general for people when they like go back to visit their hometown or like an old playground or school. You're like, what the hell? Like, so it's so much bigger than I remember it. So much smaller than I remember it. And so I thought that was a really interesting aspect of this because he's at that point, he's now experienced so much and coming back really gives him the closure he needs to like move on from his childhood that was spent in this tiny enclosed space.
The scene that really broke me was because he's been stuck in this room for so long. He's got like this incredible hair. And when he gets out, his grandmother's like, should we cut his hair? And he doesn't want to cut his hair because he's like, that's what makes me strong. Like, that's where I get my strong, you know?
It's so sweet.
And so his mom's like, yeah, absolutely. You can keep your hair. But when Joy is like going through it and having a difficult time kind of like coming out of this.
Yeah.
And he decides he wants to cut off his hair so he can give it to his mom. So that way he can like gift her his strong to like help her recover. I was like, holy shit. Here come the waterworks.
This movie makes me bawl my eyes out like a little baby. Like I was watching it with some friends and I don't think any of them had seen it, and I was just trying so hard to like hold back tears.
What the fuck is the matter with you? You invited friends over to watch Room?
Yeah, they were like really upset at first, but then it made me really excited because then like after they were like my boyfriend even texted me. He was like, dude, I can't stop thinking about Room. Like,
yeah. And
he doesn't even like love movies that much like that. Like he'll watch something and kind of be like, oh, that was cool. But he doesn't really like, there's very few films that like he kind of ruminates on.
Right.
So I felt very good that this one like hit different for him. And I was like, yep, see, it's a great movie. Yeah. And even just like the writing in this film, like the way like Jack's vocabulary and the way he speaks is so fascinating and like it feels so real. Like
it feels
there's
very
a scene
real
where he's just like, oh ma, the door is ticking. And it's like, of course someone would say that who's never experienced the world outside of four walls with no doors. His questions are all just so interesting, and I love the scene where she's like, okay, it's time to tell him, and she's like, hey Jack, do you remember Mouse?
Mm-hmm.
And the way she breaks that down for him is just so fascinating to watch.
Hey, Jack, do you remember Mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know where he is? I do. He's on the other side of this wall.
What other side?
Jack, there's two sides to everything.
Not an octagon.
Yeah, but...
An octagon has 8 sides.
But a wall, okay? A wall's like this. See, and we're on the inside, and Mouse is on the outside.
In outer space?
No, in the world. It's much closer than outer space.
I can't see the outside side.
Listen, I know that I told you something else before, but you were much younger. I didn't think that you could understand, but now you're so old. You're so smart. I know that you can get this. Where do you think that old Nick gets our food?
From TV by magic.
There is no magic. What you see on TV, those are pictures of real things, of real people. It's real stuff.
Dora's real for real?
No, that's a drawing. Dora is a drawing. The other people that have faces like us, those are pictures of real things. And all the other stuff you see on there, that's real too. That's real oceans, real trees, real cats, dogs.
No way. Where would they all fit?
They just do. They just fit. They just fit out in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually love to go, and I may go and look at this film on the page, read the screenplay.
Yes.
Because the dialogue, especially, as you said, in that first half, where they're stuck in that room, the connection and the chemistry between the two characters, both as performers, but definitely in the script and on the page, is just tremendous. But yeah, just hearing her kind of like weave out not only like, okay, this is what the real world is like, but then later when they start like weaving out this plan of escape, it's just like, oh man, it's just is really, really well written stuff.
Yeah, that escape plan, like scene in the truck, I thought I was gonna have a heart attack.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I've seen it before, but I was like, oh my god, this is just, you're just rooting for them so much to the point where it's like your heart can't even take it. So, any final thoughts?
No, the only thing I would say is if you want to rent a place that is the size of room in Los Angeles, I think it's going for about $2,700 right now.
Yeah, it's true. Looking for housing right now, and it's actually insane. Oh man, what you gonna do?
Sell drugs.
Yeah, just not live in LA. That could be an option for sure. But anyways, you guys, if you guys want to check out Room, it's streaming right now on Max, so definitely check it out and let us know what you guys think of it.
Well, excellent first choice. Thank you for the recommendation. I was happy to finally see it. And our audience, I'm sure, is like, well, shit. I mean, Room, we got that out of the way. It ain't going to get heavier than that. And I say, shut the fuck up. You guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. A woman under the influence.
God, here we go.
Written and directed by John Cassavetes. Why did I pick this film? Why did I volunteer to rewatch this movie?
You're fucking crazy. I literally, not to interrupt you too quickly, but after watching it, I was like, fuck you, Nick. Fuck you for making me watch this.
You know what's funny is I said the same thing, and so did Sonia. So
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know why I opted to rewatch this, and I guess I do know why. It's because it's a masterpiece.
Yes.
The film follows A Woman Under the Influence, 1974. Follows, I guess you just call it a dysfunctional family. Maybe you wouldn't. Yeah. I don't know. 3 kids. You got the husband / father, Nick, who's played by Peter Falk, the great Peter Falk. And you've got the mother, the wife, who's Mabel, played by the underappreciated American treasure, Gena Rowlands, in what is widely considered one of the all-time great performances in American cinematic history. And Mabel has mental health issues. She is extremely uncomfortable in social situations. She doesn't want to be. Her heart's in the right place. She wants to give constantly. She wants to give love, but she can't. And we can glean from the dialogue throughout the film that she wasn't always like this. Things have taken a turn for the worse, and they continue to take a turn for the worse throughout the film. So the film is about Mabel and her family and dealing with her mental health issues, how her family reacts to this, how the people around them react to this. And that is the quote unquote plot. There's a very loose plot in this film, and the plot does not do this movie any justice because it is just something that must be seen to be believed. I'm not even sure if seen is the right word. It must be just experienced. Yeah. There are so many moments in this film that are extremely intense and uncomfortable. And the way that Cassavetes shoots these scenes, very tight frames with long lenses, so you feel like you're in the house with this family. You almost feel like you are an unwelcome guest in this house and they don't know you're there. And all you want to do is leave and get out of there, and you can't. I don't know. We'll dive into some more of the details, but Bella, yes, your initial thoughts on A Woman Under the Influence besides fuck Nick.
Yeah. No, I mean, I couldn't have said it better. Like, that was a perfect way to describe this movie. It's honestly like downright traumatic and very unpleasant. My first reaction to watching this was just, I'm so happy I watched it because it was on my watch list and it absolutely blew me away. But I'm equally happy that I never have to watch it ever again. I think, yeah, this movie is like, I think it's by far the most disturbing film I've ever seen. It fucked me up in every sense of the word, mentally, emotionally, physically. Like, my heart was pounding out of my chest. My palms were sweating. My eyes were watering. I was just wildly uncomfortable and honestly terrified pretty much the whole time. And it literally left me feeling like sick to my stomach after just watching the credits, speechless. Like, especially that end credit scene is just wild. But so yeah, this for me was not an enjoyable movie, but it's not supposed to be, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it's not supposed to be.
That's the point of it.
This is a legitimate piece of art. This is art.
100%.
And like, it has a lot to say about mental health. Without being overt or expressly addressing it, it's very critical of the patriarchy and toxic masculinity, sexism, and male-female gender dynamics in the mid-70s.
Totally.
So it accomplishes a lot in a very small, intimate space. And the film does have an incredible amount of empathy for Mabel.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, like, I mean, you think we don't have a good handle on mental health today in 2024? Holy shit. 1974, forget about it.
Yeah. They do a great job of like showing what that was like in this movie.
Yeah, it's and what I love about it, and what I on the second watch
Can't even imagine.
On the second watch of this, I was able to appreciate that element of it a little bit more, where it, you know, since we're talking about mothers, it kind of shows that Mabel, despite having mental health issues, that she still has value, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She's sent
Totally.
away to a hospital for 6 months to try and get better. And Nick, the husband, is left to take care of the kids. And you see how much she has missed.
Ooh.
Even in her poor health, she has a lot to offer this family. And without her, the unit is broken without her. And without her, you start to see, I was like, fucking, hey, that Nick is as crazy as she is, if not crazier. That scene where he's giving the kids the fucking beer, it's like, you're the crazy.
Like, at least she didn't get her kids drunk. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, I literally wrote in my notes, he's getting his kids drunk. Are you kidding me? Because I was just furious watching it.
Granted, it was the 70s, but I mean, still, I'm not saying I didn't have a few sips of beer here or there as a kid, but
there's a few sips is different.
A sip is different than getting your kids plastered.
They're like stumbling.
Yeah.
It's just like on the front lawn of the neighborhood. It's like, what is happening right now?
So it's just intense to watch Gena's performance and the family's reaction to it, and the family makes a lot of bad decisions in dealing with the situation. And it's hard to say that their heart is in the wrong place, because I'm sure it's in the right place, but it's just like ignorance. Their heart's in the right place, but their actions, oh boy, their actions and their words,
they're so damaging.
They're so damaging. Like when Nick is just keeps saying like, just be yourself, and it's like, bro, this is her now, dude. It's
right.
I was trying to be nice.
Wacko!
I like your friends.
I know it.
I'm a warm person.
I know that.
I'm not one of those stiffs that you like with their noses up in the air. And boom, boom, with their noses up in the air. Awfully nice. Thank you. I'm not going to treat those guys. I want them to feel... I love those guys. I love them. I love anybody who brings in a house snake.
I know that.
Want them to feel comfortable. I want them to feel they just sit there like a bunch of... I want us...
What the hell are you talking about? You didn't do anything wrong. It was just the way he was looking.
Down, Mabel. Down.
Billy was looking at you this way. He don't know you don't do any harm.
This is so nightmarish. And the only, again, talking about the bringing it back to the mother stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The only people who are I'm getting emotional. The only people who are willing to listen to her and like see her value are her kids. And that scene where they're trying to fight for her and protect her at the end. God. Oh my gosh. Whew.
That was when I was just like, for the whole movie, I kept having to be like, this is just a movie. This is just a movie. But then I was like thinking about those child actors, and I was like, I don't know how they shot this. Like,
how the fuck did they shoot this?
This is so fucking disturbing.
Those kids are young.
Those kids are probably fucked up from this movie. Yeah. I know that I would be. Holy shit. Yeah, that scene is because in the very beginning, as soon as shit starts to hit the fan, I was just like, God damn, why did like kids have to be involved in this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's just so upsetting. But then by the end of it, you're like, thank God they were there. Like, thank God they were there for this.
Yes, they saved her. Which is
crazy to say. Yeah, like you're just like, her. I mean, they shouldn't be subjected to this, but also, they saved her. And
they saved her. Yeah. And her love for them saved her, like that's her motivation to push forward, I think, and to keep giving it a shot is because she loves her kids. She really loves her kids,
It's so beautiful. And I think going back to what you're, not to like switch the subject too much, but going back to what you were saying about, I was really surprised how like many feminist tones this film had, just given like the time period of it and everything. But I was just thinking about how like, one, I think this is genuinely a horror movie. Like, I don't care what anyone says. This is a horror movie. Yeah. And I think it's a feminist horror movie about just like how truly horrific it is to be a woman and a mother in an abusive patriarchal setting like this while also being on the verge of a nervous breakdown or like struggling with mental health, and just having to watch Mabel be treated like absolute shit on a daily basis by her husband and by pretty much every man that like walks into her life
Yeah.
is just so painful. Like she's constantly tortured by all the pressure, and she's having to deal with all of this shit while also struggling with her mental health. And so yeah, I like, even just there's this one scene at the end when she comes back from being hospitalized, and it's after her husband's like, just be yourself, which I was like, that was just the absolute dagger. But then what like really sealed the deal in that for me was when she looks to her across the table to her father, and she's like, Dad, stand up for me. And he like physically stands up. And it's
Right.
almost like comical. Like you're just
Right.
like, no fucking way. Like this guy is this fucking stupid. And she's like, Dad, stand up for me. And he's like, I don't know what you want me to do. And then even her mom is just like, how do you not understand what's going on here?
Right.
Like,
Right.
don't you see what she's asking you to do? And he just gives up. He's like, I don't know. He throws the towel in, walks out. And so, yeah, I thought this movie was a really brilliant kind of unexpected like analogy or example of just how suffocating and destructive the pressure of like gender roles for women and motherhood and patriarchy can be, and like the enormous toll that all of that combined can take on like your mental and emotional well-being.
Yeah, that scene is so powerful and heartbreaking. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing with this movie is like,
yeah,
a lot of movies, even the movies that we're talking about today, like Room or a couple of the other movies that we're going to talk about, it's just like, okay, there's some heavy moments, or it's like, oh God, this is tense, this is uncomfortable. But but the filmmakers, you don't let you sit there for a long time, and then they cut away, you know, like there's one movie in particular that we're going to talk about later that I'm going to reference, but not only do they stay there for the rest of that dinner and they leave.
Yeah.
They're like, you're going to stay with this family. Like these people have left her, and now you're going to stay in this room and see what happens after this, after she's going down.
It's so
it just
scary.
never, it's unrelenting, the filmmaking and the script. They just, again, you want to leave, but they're just like, no, you're going to see this out. Almost as if it's like, you're married to this woman, Nick, you're going to see this out. You're going to stick with her. God damn it.
Yeah, no, totally. It's that ending is like, it gave me chills, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen anything like that. I've never been so like gobsmacked. My roommate like walked in on me and she was like, is everything okay? I was like, no, it's not okay. You know, all that being said, this is a masterpiece.
It is.
In filmmaking and acting. Oh my God. My bold statement of this episode is for sure that I think this is the best acting performance I've ever seen in my life from Gena Rowlands.
You're not alone in saying that. That's a lot of people's pick.
It's a chilling performance, and you feels like her physical and emotional discomfort is so palpable. Like I felt like it was literally seeping out of the screen and into like me. Like I was so affected by her torment. It was just so painful. And that's what I think is a big part of like what makes this performance and this film overall just utterly mind-blowing to me.
The last thing I'll say, that was speaking about her performance, is rewatching it this time, is something struck me by it on this second watch, which is a lot of times you watch an actor's performance and you kind of see, and we've talked about it on this show before, you see what they're going through internally. The internal fight and the internal struggle, they are showing it to you. We do not see that in this performance. She is all external, and she's like, we see her start to lose it. We see her start to go there. But we are trying to figure it out just like the rest of her family. We do not know what's going on inside. And that's what makes it so scary and
I agree.
palpable,
it's absolutely
and just
terrifying.
like and riveting, of just like, oh no, come back, what's happening? You know, it's just like you don't know what's happening in there.
But all you know is that everything that like her family and her husband are doing is only making it worse. And it's just like so
that we could see. That we could
like
don't have all of these people here. What are you doing?
oh my God. Yeah. When he has like 40 people at the house when she's coming back from the hospital, it's like, use your brain, dude. Like,
Jesus Christ.
Which I think also ties into just like how much of a lack of understanding of mental illness was going on at that time. Like the way her husband and her family just kept saying the past is the past and we're never going to talk about it again and everything's just going to be better from here on out. And it's like, it's just so obviously not the case when Mabel is clearly struggling and is clearly triggered by her own family. But then it's so painful because she has nowhere else to go. So it's like this very overwhelming feeling of being trapped that Mabel's experiencing. And then, like you said, as a viewer, you're experiencing it too, because you're just like, get me the fuck out of here. Like, I can't watch this anymore.
Yeah.
But you're also like so enthralled with what's happening. And like, I was like, I have to see this to the end. Like, I have to know where it goes from here. And then the ending is just completely shocking. So,
It's you know, it's funny. It was like, we were watching this on HBO Max, not a sponsor, but you can be HBO Max if you're listening. And it like froze for 1 second and it showed the runtime and we had like an hour left. And so Sonia was like, Jesus Christ, there's an hour left of this film. I don't know if I can't watch another hour of this. It's just too much. But she watched the other hour of it.
But
it's like, you can't stop watching it.
Yeah. It's like you have to know. I can't imagine not finishing this film. Like you have to see it through. You have to know where it goes. And it's I would say it's very unexpected. It's a very, very unexpected ending, which I still don't know how I feel about it, to be honest.
I think that's the point.
That's the point. Yeah, I would say if horror movies or just very, very intense dramas are your thing, then this is 100% a must watch. Like, you will love this movie. But if you're not a fan of that kind of stuff,
I'm you know, if you're a cinephile, if you're an actor, if you're a cinematographer, if you're a director, you should watch this movie.
Gotta watch it. But if you're not, you might want to avoid it at all costs, just to preserve your overall well-being.
Yeah. A Woman Under the Influence. It's streaming now on HBO Max. There's an excellent Criterion Collection Blu-ray available, I believe. All right, Bella. Shall we lighten it up, or are we going?
Oh, that's a really good question. Maybe we lighten it up a bit.
Maybe we lighten it up.
Let's lighten it up just a little bit. So my next pick of the day, just to get y'all's spirits up, is the Academy Award winning Best Picture winner, actually, Everything Everywhere All at Once. You may have heard of it. Directed by Daniel Scheinert and Daniel Kwan. This movie is quite the overstimulating existential ride, kind of the best chaos. It's the best kind of chaos, as it really truly lives up to its name. It's jam-packed with anything and everything you could ever want in a film, or at least for me, from wild sci-fi technology to just the most exhilarating and immersive action sequences. And then all of that is just infused with this like ridiculously stupid and sarcastic humor, which I love. But underneath all the crazy visuals, animations, and action, there's actually a very touching and relatable mother-daughter story coursing through this film. Michelle Yeoh plays Evelyn, the matriarch of the Wang family, alongside Ke Huy Quan as her husband Waymond, and Stephanie Sue as Joy, their 20-something-year-old daughter. And I think Evelyn, I chose this film because I think Evelyn is an exceptional mother character in film. And her story, outside of all the kind of sci-fi multiverse chaos, is one that is just very relatable to so many audiences. So for some background, her and her husband Waymond got married and had their daughter Joy when they were both very young. Her father did not approve of the marriage, and when she told him they were going to move to the US together and start a business and start a life together, her father basically told her that he would not think of her as his own anymore, which is just such a heartbreaking and traumatic experience for Evelyn. And it seems that for the rest of her life, she's just constantly trying to make up for this and seek his approval, like bending over backwards for him, essentially. And in the film, we see that this kind of generational trauma is being passed down as her own daughter, Joy, is also struggling to feel accepted by her mother, just in general, but also she recently came out. So she's having the same complicated relationship that Evelyn has with her. So basically, the same complicated relationship Evelyn has with her father is paralleled with her own daughter. But Evelyn doesn't realize this at first. She's much more preoccupied with their financial struggles, keeping the laundromat business afloat, paying their taxes, and she just hasn't been able to see all these deep-rooted issues that are rising to the surface before her. Like her husband is seeking a divorce, which she doesn't even know about, and her daughter is constantly seeking approval. And when she isn't getting it, when she isn't getting this approval, she's now pushing her mother away. And so, yeah, basically there's a lot to unpack in this film, but I'm excited to hear what your thoughts are on this film, Nick. And if you had watched this movie before.
Yes, I have seen this movie a couple times. I saw it in the theater when it came out, and then I saw it when it first came out. Actually, I think I saw a screener of it.
Oh, cool.
After that. So, I mean, I love Michelle Yeoh. I have always been a big Michelle Yeoh fan. I admire the technical achievements of this film. I'm very happy this film exists. A totally original concept, you know. You can tell it came from the heart. I'm happy it won all the awards. I'm happy for the filmmakers. A lot of this film works for me. But I will be totally honest, a lot of this movie doesn't work personally for me. The multiverse elements I found personally just a little convoluted, and I never found any of the like funny gags funny. Like
that's very fair.
and if you don't find the funny, like the butt plugs and the hot dog fingers and the raccoon thing, if you don't find that funny, which I didn't, then that's a huge chunk of the film that's not working for you.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Whenever they were going into that stuff, I just was always hungry to get back to the heart of this story, which is the relationship between Evelyn and Joy and Waymond. But you know, I admire their swings, you know, like and obviously I'm in the minority because this movie worked for pretty much everybody. It's unanimously loved, with the exception of old Black Ice here. But yeah, the comedic elements just
like fell flat, kind of.
They fell flat. There was just like a lack of setup to some of these jokes. Like I was like, did I miss some of the setups for like why hot dog fingers or like
that one was by far the one that I was most confused about as well. So I'll give you that.
You know, or it's like. You know, like there's a referencing to the Ratatouille with the raccoon thing, but it's like I haven't seen Ratatouille, so we talk about how I don't watch the kid movies. So it's like, all right, well, that joke's just not for me. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And the butt plugs, it's like, I mean, it's been years since I've used a butt plug, so it's just like I don't know. Butt plugs are no laughing matter, in my opinion. They're... So, anyways, but again, I think the performances in this movie are great, and I think when it gets into the heart of it, I think that's where the movie really shines for me. But I mean, I picked fucking A Woman Under the Influence, so that's the kind of sick shit I'm into. All this, you know, whenever they're getting into like some deep emotional stuff in this film, they're like, let's cut away to hot dog fingers. I'm like, no, let's stay in there. Let's see these motherfuckers cry, motherfuckers cry. I want to see I don't want to cut to some fucking hot dog fingers. Let's get into the fucking lava of this shit.
Hey, I totally get that. Yeah, this for me, I love like the ridiculousness of this movie, but I would agree with you that like the emotional aspects of it are my favorite parts personally. And
Yeah.
like this movie makes me cry. And I think a big part of it is the music. I love the score in this film.
Score's
I think
great.
it's absolutely beautiful, like absolutely gorgeous and just so like touching and moving, honestly. Like it really moves me. And the way they use it in certain scenes is just wonderful. But yeah, in those really heartfelt scenes, I've watched this movie like 4 times now and it makes me cry every time because I think it's just, again, I've said this a lot, but I think it's just a very relatable experience of like
absolutely it is.
kids and their parents. I think like one of the biggest things in this film is like this fear or feeling of disappointing our parents. I think that's like a massive theme that is coursing through it. And I think obviously that's a very common or very relatable feeling for a lot of people. And it's like sometimes we just get so caught up in all the noise of life that we forget to give attention to like the things that are really important. And like our relationships with each other, and we forget to like acknowledge issues within them and talk about them and then learn to ultimately embrace them. And so that's something I love that they touch on in this movie, and also how they kind of touch on like a lot of that comes down to just how I think parents sometimes forget to just really listen to what their kids need. Like they think they're making all the right decisions for them and they know what's best for them, but sometimes I think kids just need their parents to listen, like, or somebody to listen and just be there for them, stand by them, even if you don't agree with the decisions they're making. And that's what's really, I think, like a personal level on this with this film is just like being the same age as Joy. She's like just coming into adulthood. She's very young. I think she'd like just gone off to college. And so it's like she's an adult now and she's free to make the decisions in her life. And when her parents start to try to like control them or like look down on them, it only ends up making her want to like push them away and hurting her more. And we obviously, we see that happen with Joy and Evelyn, and it's so heartbreaking. And fortunately, before it's too late, Evelyn realizes this and she reaches out her hand to Joy, and they're able to work on their relationship and like accept and appreciate each other and all their flaws. So I love how much I feel like this is a very family movie again. Like it just makes you feel all the feels, and it makes you feel so, with the multiverse aspect, it makes you feel so like grateful of just like what you have in life. And so I really adore that aspect of this movie.
No, I don't disagree with anything you said, Bella. In fact, I do the opposite of disagree. I agree with everything you said. And hearing you talk about it does make me appreciate it more. I'm super happy that it was made, and especially for like an American audience to adopt and love this Asian American family story. Yeah. And like you're saying, how relatable it is, like how across races and generations, across generations within the same film, we're dealing with a lot of the same emotional trauma. And I think the film does accomplish that quite beautifully.
Totally. Like there's kind of something for everyone in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really awesome to see.
Yeah. I love the beginning and I love the end. The middle, it's like, it's not even
the middle gets a little rough. It gets a little all over the place.
Yeah. I understand why people like all that stuff. It's just not, it's not even that it's not my cup of tea. It's that it's a cup of tea and I'm a coffee drinker. Does that make sense? It's just, we're not even in the same.
That makes perfect sense. Actually, that's great example, great metaphor for that. Yeah, and I think a part of me also is just like, you know what, I'm going to choose a little bit more of an uplifting film, and
I'm glad
I love
you did.
Michelle Yeoh.
I'm very glad you did.
Yeah, it's fun to see. It's so fun to see her in this performance, and I think she also won Best Actress for it. No. I can't remember exactly.
That's a great.
She might have
I think
won
she did
that year.
I know
I know Ki Hui Kwan won.
Yes.
Because every time I see his speech, I cry. I love him.
Yeah, that was a great speech. And
so good.
I don't
It's
know.
like,
I don't.
Mom, I won an Oscar.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
So awesome.
Okay, it won Best Original Screenplay. It won Best Picture. It won Best Directors. It won Best Actress, Michelle Yeoh. It won.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I remember now because she started getting played off the stage with the music.
Uh-huh.
She was like, I know how to kick your ass, basically, from all her martial arts.
I didn't see that. That's great.
It was awesome.
Best performance by supporting actress Jamie Lee Curtis, and best
that's right
film editing,
wow,
which is very deserved because the editing in this movie is out of this world.
It's crazy.
We should do a Michelle Yeoh Give Me 3 at some point because
I would love to.
Yeah, maybe we'll add that.
Yeah,
to the
so I had to choose this one for her specifically, and then just kind of remembering all the mother-daughter relationship in it, and just all the feels it gives. I think it's just a great film, very personal film.
Yeah.
If you guys want to check it out, I think it's currently streaming on Netflix.
Well, my friends, we have run out of time here, so that is a wrap on today's episode. But we're going to have more great mother characters coming your way this Thursday. We got 3 more for you. So if you like what you heard today and you want to hear some more, be sure to tune in on Thursday. 3 more great films, including a movie where the lead actress competed with Gena Rowlands for Best Actress at the 1975 Academy Awards. We're also going to be discussing the audacious and impressive directorial debut from a famed actress, and we're going to be discussing one of the most impressive executions of an actress portraying both a 15-year-old and a 35-year-old in the same movie. So give me 3 more great mother characters coming your way this Thursday. And next Monday, in preparation and celebration of the new George Miller joint, Furiosa, we are going to be revisiting Mad Max 2 Road Warrior, and Mad Max Fury Road. We are skipping Beyond Thunderdome for reasons. But let us know what you think of these movies that we discussed today. You can message us on Instagram at Gimme3Podcast. That's GIMME, spell out 3 podcast. And we do have a special announcement, y'all. We have a new feature where you can actually send us a text. That's right. Scroll down to our episode description, and the first thing that you're going to see above our episode description is a link that says, send us a text message. Click on that link, and you can send us a text message. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you think of these movies. Let us know what you want to hear on this show, and let us know your name so we can give you a shout out on the show. Once again, shout out to all the mamas out there. We continue to celebrate mamas on Thursday, and we want to thank you all for listening to the Gimme 3 podcast, and we'll see you at the movies.